spooky crew, and welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if this is your first time here. My name is Alex, and thanks for coming to my spooky corner of the internet. I will say for sure that this is probably one of the most personal stories I've ever shared, and one that also has really changed my opinions about the paranormal and has really rattled and shaken my world, so to speak. Pretty much, to put it bluntly, I am haunting my old house. But yes, I am still alive, which is very confusing, right? Pretty sure I'm still alive. But yes, apparently I am haunting my former home. Don't forget to click on that subscribe button, give this video a like, and click on that notification bell so you'll be the first one to know when I put up a new video. And also, let me know your opinions about this whole situation. Put it in the comments. I would love to hear what you think. Now, I also wanted to let you know that I started off 2023 with a reading from my sponsor, Keen. I have a lot coming up in 2023 with paranormal conventions, book writing, and personal life stuff. And I pretty much asked my reader if I was going down the right path and if there was anything that I should be mindful of going into this new year. I wasn't specific and I kept everything vague because y'all know me, I want to make sure it's legit. My reader advised me to keep moving forward with my plans, but to make sure that I take the time to take care of myself, because if I don't, the universe certainly will. I will say that the reader is right. And my reader also proceeded to mention my travel plans and my health issues and concerns that I don't tell anybody about. Not even, well, my husband knows a little bit, but not to the extent that he should know. But my reader was able to let me know about this stuff. And remember, I didn't tell my reader any details, and I kept my questions vague about the new year. And they got very specific. And again, I got this reading using my sponsor, Keen. Keen connects you with talented tarot readers and astrologers. If you want to get a reading on Keen like I did, it's super easy to start. If I can figure it out, so can you. All you have to do is create an account, and you'll be able to choose from the hundreds of readers who are online right now. These readers each have unique specialties that are designed to provide a deeper understanding of your situation. Want to learn more about what's in store for 2023 like I did? Keen has a reader ready to provide answers. You can choose whatever reader best suits your needs, and you'll be able to connect with them via phone call or text chat. And as a new customer on Keen, you can try your first 10 minutes for only $1.99, which is up to $99 in savings. Go to trykeen.com/Matsuo or click the link in my description to save big on your first reading. And if you end up trying out Keen, let me know how it goes. All right, let's get rolling. So the house that I used to live in, my grandparents bought this house in the 80s, and it was a one-story house. They ended up adding a second story because, not only were they living in it, but their kids and some grandkids started living there, so they expanded the house to make it bigger. This house was pretty much the house that my entire family would go to for holidays, celebrations, anniversaries, funerals. I mean, this house was the house. And unfortunately, when my mother inherited the house after my grandmother passed away, she didn't really take good care of it financially, and she ended up losing the house to foreclosure. And this was a gut punch to me. It was a gut punch to our entire family. It hurt. It hurt a lot. And this was one of these houses that, I spent majority of my life in. I never owned it. My mother owned it. My grandparents owned it. Then my mom did. So, pretty much that the number of hands that this house, has been through is pretty minimal. And my grandparents were the second owners of the house. So, and we're talking this house was lost about 9 years ago. So a significant amount of time has passed by. Imagine my surprise when the house first started going on the market after the foreclosure. I started to get phone calls. I was getting phone calls from real estate agents asking me hey, can we see the house? Or are you interested in selling the house? Or I see you're interested in selling the house. And I'm sitting here wait a minute, what? Because again, I did not own the house. I never owned the house. My mother did. And I noticed these calls started coming in after my mother passed away. So maybe they did try her phone number and then somehow found mine. But I found it really odd. So I always knew when the house was going up on the market because I would get the phone calls from the real estate agencies. And I'll be honest, this house has been on the market several times since my mother left the house. I was getting emails from former owners saying, hey, we have your mail. It was just really interesting how easily people were able to find me in ties to this house. Because again, I never owned it. So the latest owner of the house found my email thanks to, I think, the previous owner who had the house before this gentleman. And so he emailed me and he was asking like, hey, I'm looking for the person who lived at such and such and such, the address. And I emailed them back and I said, yeah, that's me. I didn't own the house. I grew up in the house and my mom owned the house. What's up? And basically they emailed back saying, hey, is your house haunted? And I'm sitting here like, I mean, don't get me wrong. I've had some really interesting things happen in that house. And for the most part, I believe it's a lot of transient spirits, but I never thought that the house ever had like a residential ghost, if that makes sense. Meaning that there was not one spirit or several spirits that just took up residence in that house. Now, if you've read the book One Bed Over, which is my book about my attachment after my car accident, yes, I did have some really traumatic events in the house in association of that situation. But again, the man in the leather jacket, which was what I called that spirit, he didn't reside in the house. So when I got this email from the current owner, I'm sitting here like, yeah, I emailed back saying, oh, why do you ask? And, the owner emailed me back with a list of things that have been happening, doors opening, windows opening by themselves. They're, hearing footsteps. A lot of it kind of read residual to me, but then the owner said in the email, I've also been hearing a woman's voice, or a young woman's voice. And I was sitting here like, okay, that's interesting. So with situations like that, I like to hop on calls, like Zoom calls. So I emailed the owner back and I said, hey, would you be open to hopping on a Zoom call to talk more about this? And he emailed back saying, yeah, sure. And so I set up a Zoom call, sent him the info. The time came for the call. We both hop on and I say, oh, hey, how are you? And the owner, so we were on video, his face just goes like white and he looks like he's seen a ghost literally. And he says, oh my gosh, it's you. And I said, what do you mean? And he said, the young woman's voice that I've been hearing in this house is your voice. And I'll be honest, that took me aback quite a bit because obviously I'm still alive. I'm not a ghost that is haunting this house that I know of. It was very, it took me aback. I'll be honest. It really took me aback. I was very surprised and I was shocked about this and I really didn't know what to make of it. He proceeded to tell me some other things that have been happening in the house. I'm not going to disclose them here because they're really personal, but essentially, this really got me to thinking like, okay, so what exactly are we dealing with in this house? And so I do have a couple of theories as to what could this be. So I'm thinking, one, maybe this is a residual haunting, meaning that it's just the energy from my family and especially me still residing in the house. It's not like our conscious spirits, but our energy is there as well. Oh, I also wanted to mention that the owner was also seeing like a shadow crawling up the stairs. And before everyone boards the demon train, I do want to say that towards the end of my grandmother's life, she was really stubborn and wanted to stick to her independence, meaning that she would sleep in her own bed, which was on the second floor. She didn't want to sleep in the hospital bed that was in the living room. So she would literally crawl up the stairs to go to her bedroom. So when the owner was telling me about the shadow he was seeing crawling up the stairs, I honestly immediately thought of my grandmother. I don't think it's any like spirit. But anyway, residual. I think this could be residual, and the situation with the shadow crawling up the stairs is a good example of that. Voices can also be a residual haunting. When I asked the owner exactly what was he hearing my voice saying, he said that it was things like what or mom or grandma, words like that. So, which would be, things that I would say when I was like yelling down the stairs or they were yelling up to me. And I think that is a lot of residual energy right there. Now, another theory could be, and I presented this situation on the Clock app, and quite a few people actually brought this one up, but they think possibly it's the house calling me home. Now, I will say I loved this house so much. And even when my mom had the house, she always kept saying, Alex, this is your house. This is your house. This will always be your house. This is your house. I want to make sure everything is taken care of because this is your house. And so I'm wondering if when my mom was saying things like that, was she inadvertently manifesting some sort of like spiritual ownership of the house. And so every time the house goes on the market, it's literally calling me on the phone saying, hey, it's available. I'll be honest, if I could buy the house, I would. Unfortunately, that house is now going for like $2 or $3 million. So I don't think I'm going to be owning that house anytime soon unless I win the lottery. But it's interesting to think about that. What if the house became some sort of like an egregore, meaning like this spiritual space that was manifested from the human mind, and it developed some sort of consciousness on its own, and this house is literally trying to call me and tell me to come home. And we really went down the paranormal supernatural rabbit hole here. And then another one to consider is, again, this is really putting on the tinfoil hat, but a few people mentioned this to me, and I'm entertaining it. But what if it's possible that this is my future self haunting the house? Like if we don't believe that time is linear, then perhaps it is possible that maybe older Alex from the future, who has already passed on, has chosen to reside in this house. Now, I mean, I don't want to just declare what I think is going to happen when I pass on or where I'm going to want to take up residence, but that's another theory that, one can consider. And then another one that popped up that for me that I really hope isn't the case, but there's also the possibility that maybe the house is being haunted by my mother or my grandmother. I don't think my grandmother is there. Honestly, after my grandmother passed, I didn't feel anything from her. So I'm talking like nada. I'm pretty sure she was really eager to rejoin my grandfather in the afterlife, and that's why we don't hear from her. Now, my mother, I don't like to think of the idea of her haunting that house, but considering how she lost the house and how much it hurt her, I wouldn't be surprised if she's not haunting it full time. I wouldn't be surprised if she's popping into that house maybe even part time. So I'm not going to throw out that theory. I'm not going to throw out that theory that it's my mom haunting the house. I wouldn't be surprised. I really hope that's not the case. And then of course other possibilities have popped into my mind, like it's a mimic or it's a demon, and I don't think it's a demon. A mimic, I honestly don't know. I honestly don't think that. My gut's not saying that. I'm honestly really considering that this is just residual energy. And I do know that, and to help with that is, doing space clearing. Now, another theory that I've been considering and a few people brought up to me is like pieces of my soul have broken up into that house and they're still there. This is very much a shamanic belief. I believe it's it's in more of an Eastern tradition or Eastern belief that, as the soul goes through trauma, it can break apart and leave pieces behind. I mean, this is a really interesting way to explain how maybe the same spirit can be haunting multiple places. It's an interesting thought. And so if my soul has been broken up into different places, especially in this house, then basically what I need to do is do a soul retrieval and get those pieces of my soul back. And again, this is the paranormal, so it's really hard to pinpoint any one of these theories as being like the legit one. Now, I have been invited by the current owner of my childhood home to come and visit, so if I do any sort of like cleansing, soul retrieval, or anything like that, this is definitely going to be the time that I'm going to do it. And hopefully things calm down. Now, since I did talk to the owner, I did give him some tips and tricks on how to basically calm the energy down. I mean, this isn't like Amityville horror status. It's just one of those things that has been noticeable enough to be bothersome, but definitely not so much that, the owner and his family can't be in the house. So things are okay, but, obviously this owner would prefer to just not deal with it at all, which is totally understandable. So what do you think is haunting my childhood home? I mean, is it me? Is it a demon? Is it a mimic? Is it pieces of my soul? Is it future Alex? I mean, I'm not sure. So I won't really know until I get there, but I would love to hear your theories in the meantime. And once again, feel free to subscribe to this channel, give this video a like, and leave those comments in so I can see what you think, and turn on that notification bell so you'll know when I upload a new video. And if you want more spooky stuff, then head on over to my website at thespookystuff.com for more paranormal content. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next round.